Alright, hi to all, my name is Jonathan. I created this video so that you can understand all about my face-to-face IELTS exam preparation classes in Singapore. However, even if you're not thinking of attending any IELTS classes, this video will help you to know more about how to prepare for the IELTS exam by yourself and what good IELTS preparation involves. So anyway, my classes have helped over 450 people pass their IELTS exam. These are some of my class pictures over the years. I've been teaching face-to-face IELTS classes for over 10 years. And you can go to this webpage, IELTSuniversity.com/testimonials, to read all 450 plus actual WhatsApp messages of those who passed their IELTS exam after taking my class. Or you can go to this webpage, IELTSuniversity.com/writing-improvement, to read all the IELTS writing testimonials specifically for those who failed their IELTS writing before attending my class but passed after using my IELTS essay writing materials and templates. Okay, so here's what I'm going to share about my IELTS classes in this short video. Firstly, I'm going to tell you a bit more about myself and my experiences in teaching IELTS so you know who this teacher is. Secondly, I'm going to talk about my IELTS class package and what it consists of. And lastly, I'm going to touch on what makes my IELTS classes different from other IELTS classes. So if you're considering whether to attend my class or to attend other IELTS classes, make sure you watch this so you can make a good decision. Alright, so let me share a bit more about myself and my experience in teaching IELTS. Firstly, I'm a 10-year IELTS specialist. I've specialized in preparing students for the IELTS exam for more than 10 years. I first started teaching English in 2003 in Colombia. I also taught English in Australia and China. Then from about 2012 onwards, I started to specialize only in IELTS preparation. I started and taught in my own school since then. Secondly, over 450 people have passed their IELTS exam after attending my classes. As I already showed you, you can go to this webpage, IELTSuniversity.com/testimonials, to read their testimonials. Now, my IELTS classes addresses all four components: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. But as everyone knows, writing is the most difficult component, and so I've put in a lot of effort to create materials that have helped people pass their IELTS writing, which I'll talk more about later. Okay, so if you go to this webpage, all these students all failed their writing before attending my IELTS class, but passed their IELTS writing after attending my class. Thirdly, I'm a partner of IDP. The IELTS organization is co-owned by three organizations: University of Cambridge, IDP, and British Council. So IDP is a co-owner of IELTS. And I'm an official partner of IDP. Okay, I've also taught IELTS for them before many times. Furthermore, IDP has referred many people to my own IELTS classes. Fourthly, I'm the recommended IELTS teacher for many immigration agencies, and even other ESL teachers who do not teach IELTS will recommend their students to me. I'll share more about this later on. And lastly, I've also trained ESL teachers to become IELTS teachers. Various schools have asked me to train their own teachers because of my experience and specialization in IELTS preparation. So let's get to what my classes actually consist of. There are 4 face-to-face classes, although there's also an online version. Just contact me for more details, but I'm going to focus on my face-to-face classes. The classes are on Sundays, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and there's about a 20 minutes break in the middle of the class, and I'll be covering listening, reading, writing, and speaking, and I'll address academic and general training, and this is for paper or computer-based IELTS, for UKVI IELTS or non-UKVI IELTS. And there's flexible schedule. That is, if you need to start this coming Sunday, it may be possible. Just contact me, although there are intakes. And free makeup classes too. So almost all of my students work, so I understand that sometimes because of work commitments they can't make it. They just need to tell me and I'll give them a free makeup class. And of course, these classes have produced over 450 IELTS passes, as I've already showed you. With my classes, you get 250 plus pages of materials covering listening, reading, writing, and speaking. These are extremely detailed notes, and they include especially my IELTS writing essay templates, all 50 plus pages of them. Let me talk a bit about my IELTS materials. My materials are not taken from textbooks. I've created my own IELTS materials over the last 10 years through teaching hundreds of IELTS students. Actually, one of the main reasons why I decided to specialize in IELTS preparation and start my own IELTS school is that when I was teaching in other schools, I used all the well-known IELTS textbooks, but I didn't really like them as they didn't really help my students a lot. Okay, so I started to develop my own very unique and effective IELTS preparation materials, but wasn't able to use them at the schools I taught. So I decided to start my own school dedicated solely to IELTS preparation, where I could use these IELTS materials. Now, take a look at this on the left. All right, these are general instructions and information from most IELTS textbooks on how to write an IELTS essay. Okay, the information is so general that it doesn't really help students much. On the right is what I give my students. Okay, I give them 50 plus pages of IELTS writing essay templates, which are a lot of words and phrases and sentences for them to use to help them write their IELTS essay, and also a structure and organization for them to write their essay. Okay, essay templates are essay structures with pre-written that is prepared beforehand, high-level phrases, so you just need to fill in the blanks during the exam. Okay, actually, what you see here is the above version I gave my students around 10 years ago. All right, the latest version is 50 plus pages in length, covering all the different types of IELTS essay questions, and is so much better and more detailed than what you see here. Okay, this is actually how it looks like. Okay, the 50 plus pages of essay templates and appendices. Now, my IELTS essay templates are actually one of the most unique things about my IELTS class. Okay, it has helped hundreds of my students pass the IELTS exam. Do note that the writing component, the essay in particular, is the most difficult component in IELTS, and many people struggle with it. But my essay templates have made it so easy for my students. For example, Iril here got 6.0 for writing before my classes, but after attending my classes she got 7.0, and she said it's very easy because she just followed my pattern in writing, which is basically my IELTS essay templates. And Eileen here failed writing twice. Okay, I got 6.5 for 2 attempts, but after my class she passed her writing and said that she just followed my templates. Andy failed his writing 15 times before finding out about my IELTS class. Yes, 15 times. And then he found out about my IELTS class, and he went from 6.5 in his writing. He failed it 15 times. He needed 7, and he got 7 after my class, right? So even though it's just an increase of 0.5 that is needed, people can take a long time to get it. Winston failed about 8 times. He needed to score 8.0. He came to my class, and then after my class, he got 8.0. Joyce and Buma also failed about 7 to 8 times before attending my class. After attending my class, both of them finally got their 7.0 score. So for all these people, the writing component was the one that prevented them from passing IELTS. That's why I've spent hundreds of hours over the last 10 years creating my IELTS essay templates and constantly making it better. And I'm still doing so even these days, so that my students will continue to have the best chance of passing their IELTS writing. Again, you can go to this page. I recommend that you go to this page, www.ieltsuniversity.com/writing-improvement, to read more testimonials from people who failed their writing before attending my class and only passed after using my IELTS essay templates. Next, if you attend my classes, I will give you a lot of homework. Okay, you can't just attend my 4 Sunday classes and think that after that you'll be ready immediately to take the exam. No. Most of my students are young adults, and I'm not going to babysit them as if they were a kid. So I'll provide you the homework and encourage you to do so, but you have to be disciplined enough to do your homework yourself. And I give you a lot of homework because you need to apply what I teach in class in order for you to improve. Now, I can't guarantee that you pass IELTS if you attend my class. Okay, it will not be honest if I were to guarantee you a pass. Don't believe anybody who tells you that. Don't believe any school that tells you that. I know my materials and teachings and notes and homework will help you improve a lot, but you still ultimately are responsible for doing your own homework. So beyond my IELTS classes, you will need to do around 40 to 100 hours of homework. Don't worry, you don't have to do it all during the 4 weeks that you attend my class. Most students do a lot of their homework even after the 4 classes end, and that's fine. There's around 20 plus hours of additional video teachings and 20 plus hours of additional exercises. Okay, and it covers listening, reading, writing, and speaking, and also grammar and vocabulary. Now, it's really up to you how much you want to do. All right. The more you do, the more you improve. It's as simple as that. You reap what you sow. Remember, these are just as important as the Sunday classes. And many of my students who have gone through the homework have written messages like this to me. This person said, I love both the classes and the videos, as the videos apply what was taught in class, and I can go through it over and over again on my own time. One very important thing here to note, a lot of my homework touches on grammar and vocabulary. This is very important for all 4 components of IELTS, but especially for writing and speaking. You see, if you understand how the writing and speaking exams are marked, you know that 2 out of the 4 band descriptors consist of grammar and vocabulary. That means 50% of your marks for both writing and speaking depend on your grammar and vocabulary. You need to understand how to use less common words, how to use collocations, word patterns, complex grammatical structure, and you also need to minimize your vocabulary and your grammar errors. You see, you cannot just learn how to structure your essay. Yes, that is important, and I teach you that in depth. You'd also need to make sure your grammar and vocabulary is up to the standard that is required for your desired band score. My grammar and vocabulary teachings are the most challenging part of my classes, yet it's probably the teaching I'm most proud of along with my essay templates. It's by far the most rewarding long term for my students as you carry what you've learned forever, way beyond your IELTS exam, and even when you're in Australia, Canada, the UK, or wherever else, you will still use what I teach you. Next, if you register for my IELTS class, you also get access to my IELTS web application. This is a web application that will simulate what you're going to experience in the actual computer-delivered IELTS exam. There are over 400 plus questions and dozens of practice tests. Now, I want to be clear, this isn't about doing mock or practice tests. Okay, mock tests do not help you improve. I teach in my class a very unique strategy of how to use mock tests to help you actually improve. I'll get more into this later in the video. But this is one of the most valuable resources. This web application is one of the most valuable resources that is part of my IELTS classes, and it will help you apply what I've taught you in class and improve in your listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Next, as part of my IELTS class package, you'll also be able to attend unlimited fortnightly live Zoom support classes. These will be live on Zoom and will be 2 hours on a weekday evening. You will be able to attend this after you finish your face-to-face classes, and you can attend it as much as you want until you pass your IELTS exam. Please take note that these Zoom classes are not where the most important teachings are taught. Okay, the most important teachings are taught in the face-to-face classes and the hundreds of pages of notes and the materials, and in the additional video teachings and homework exercises. The Zoom support classes are for support. Okay? And they consist of two main parts. Firstly, it's a question and answer part. If you have any questions about my teachings, come and ask me there, and I'll explain to you and answer you live on Zoom. And secondly, you can bring your writing to be corrected live on Zoom. And normally I will also give an essay that you can write during this time, and then I'll correct your essay live too. Lastly, you have my IELTS number to ask me any question anytime. Yes, you can ask me any question even after your face-to-face classes end. Okay, I don't know any other teacher who gives out his or her contact number, but I've been doing this for the past 10 plus years. So let's recap everything you're going to get as part of my IELTS exam preparation class package. 4 face-to-face classes on Sundays from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Okay, the classes address all 4 components: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Addresses academic or general training, paper or computer, IELTS, UKVI, non-UKVI. There's flexible schedule, which means you can start any Sunday, even the upcoming Sunday, if there is a slot available, or you can wait for the specific intakes. And there's free makeup class if you are unable to make it last minute. Okay, it has produced over 450 plus IELTS passes, and there are over 250 plus pages of materials addressing listening, reading, writing, and speaking. They're very detailed notes and includes my IELTS Writing Essay Templates, 50 plus pages of them. And I give you a lot of homework, 40 to 100 hours of homework. There's 20 plus hours additional video teachings and 20 plus hours of exercises. And the homework covers listening, reading, writing, and speaking, and also grammar and vocabulary, especially for writing and speaking. You also get access to my IELTS web app with over 400 plus questions and dozens of practice tests for you to do. Unlimited fortnightly live Zoom support classes. This will start after your classes, your 4 face-to-face classes end, and this is for support. And you get my WhatsApp number to ask me any question anytime. Okay, so what's the cost of all this, right? The normal price is $800, but I always offer an early bird discounted price of about 550 Singapore dollars, but only for those who register early, right? I give a limited number of students the early bird discount, and once it's all taken, then the cost goes back to $800. So if you're interested, I will encourage you to register early so that you have a better chance of getting one of the early bird discounted slots. Now, let me do a calculation for you so you can compare the cost of my IELTS classes with others in Singapore. Firstly, my IELTS class package consists of 16 hours of face-to-face classes and 20 hours of additional teaching videos. That's a total of 36 hours. Okay, actually it's more than 36 hours of teaching if you include the unlimited fortnightly 2-hour Zoom support class after your face-to-face classes end. It could be, you could come, many more hours, right? But I'll just take 36 hours as the number of hours in my class. So for the normal price of $800 divided by 36 hours, that's about $22 per hour. If you get the early bird discounted price, that's $550 divided by 36 hours, that's about 15 Singapore dollars per hour only. Let's compare the costs of my IELTS class per hour to the price of other IELTS schools or classes in Singapore. This research and table was done actually a few years ago during the pandemic. The pandemic is over now, and the cost of everything has increased dramatically because of inflation, if you have not already noticed. So the price you are seeing here, right, for these other schools, and I'm not going to mention the names of course, is the price is probably not the price you're going to get now. Okay, it may be about 20 to 30% higher because of inflation. As you can see from this table, the cost of my IELTS class package is still one of the cheapest out of all the different class packages per hour. It's still one of the cheapest in Singapore. The cheapest school here costs about $12 per hour, but you need to pay about 8,000 plus dollars for 700 plus hours over 30 weeks. Okay, I don't think many people can afford either the money or time for that, but it could be a good option if you have the money and are willing to spend a lot of time in classes. My IELTS class package is the second cheapest here per hour, at least according to this table. However, if you were to ask me, okay, I don't think that the cost ought to be the primary consideration when deciding which IELTS class to take. I'm going to touch much more on this later on in this video when I talk about what makes my IELTS classes different from other IELTS classes. Okay, but I think for now, I think you have to consider the following more important factors, right? Which is, do you get the teacher's WhatsApp number to ask any questions even after the IELTS class finishes? Do you get unlimited live Zoom support classes after your IELTS class ends? Do you get access to the IELTS web application to help you with your IELTS practice? And are there hundreds of testimonials of people who have passed the IELTS exam after going to the IELTS class? And do you get essay templates, okay, that will help you tremendously in the most difficult component of the IELTS exam, which is the IELTS writing? Okay, you have to consider all this. Okay, if you want to think of the other schools, if you want to find out more about the other schools, don't just think about the price. The price is important, but all these factors I would say are even more important. Okay, and I think the answer for probably all of these questions for probably all the other IELTS schools in Singapore is a no. Okay, but please feel free to also do your own research. Now in this last section, I want to talk about what makes my IELTS classes so different from other IELTS classes in Singapore or even the world. If you're considering attending my IELTS class or thinking about whether you should attend my IELTS class or another IELTS class, then do go through this part so that you'll be able to make the most informed decision for yourself. The first thing that makes my IELTS class different is the proven results. To me, the most important thing to consider, because teachers should be in the business of helping students pass their IELTS exam, is the results of their students. What kind of results have this or that IELTS class produced? So I would encourage you to go to these web pages, www.ieltsuniversity.com/testimonials or www.ieltsuniversity.com/writing-improvement to read more about how my class has helped my students pass their exam. The second difference is my experience as an IELTS teacher. I have specialized in IELTS preparation for more than 10 years. As a result of this, I've been able to focus on creating better IELTS teaching materials and strategies. Before you decide which IELTS class to take, it's important to find out the experience of your teacher. Most schools will just hire a teacher who has very little experience in teaching IELTS and very little incentive to create better IELTS teaching materials. Which brings me to the third reason why my IELTS classes are so different: my unique teaching materials. Because I've specialized in IELTS preparation for over a decade, I've been able to focus on very unique teaching materials. My materials are my own. I don't use textbooks that you can find in a bookstore. I've created all my materials from my own experience. I'm especially proud of my 50 plus pages of IELTS Writing Essay Templates that have helped so many of my students. I've also come up with my own IELTS speaking strategies and materials myself. One thing I'm a huge believer in is that I want my students to work smart, not just hard. I provide materials that will help them to work smart. My materials are all about making sure my students work smart, especially my IELTS essay templates. Now, don't get me wrong, hard work is super important. In fact, I push my students to work very hard. They have 40 to 100 hours of homework to do. There's no way anybody can do well and improve their IELTS level without hard work. There's no such thing as a free lunch in life. You reap what you sow. Having said that, I'm also a huge believer in working smart or smart work. The reason my materials are so effective is that they are based on smart work. So what do I mean by smart work? In this picture, you see people working hard to push a rectangular object. One person has an idea to make the movement of the object much faster. He cuts the rectangular object so it's now spherical in shape. When he was using the knife to cut the object down, obviously it would have taken some time and he would have been behind the rest in the race. But the result is that his object now moves faster than the others and he's now ahead of the rest. So working smart means finding effective and efficient ways to achieve a goal, and this often involves coming up with a creative strategy. My teaching materials, especially writing and speaking, are based on a philosophy of working smart, not just working hard. The IELTS essay templates I give my students are a result of hundreds of hours of my creative work. It's an example of working smart. Using my IELTS essay templates is smart work. That's why it's been able to help my students do well in their IELTS writing. But don't forget, it's not either hard work or smart work, it's both. Combine both of them and that's where you will get true success. Use smart work strategies like the IELTS essay templates and mix that in with hard work and you stand a much better chance of passing your IELTS writing. In my class, you also learn a very important method to improve that I call the TALI method, Testing and Learning Improving Method. This is a very important and unique part of my classes. I came up with this method through my own discovery when I was learning Spanish. It's something that almost all my students would say has really changed their understanding as it relates to preparing for an IELTS exam. Another important and unique aspect of my class is the teachings on grammar and vocabulary. It's very in-depth and part of the many hours of homework I give my students. Not many IELTS classes would spend much time on grammar and vocabulary because it's very difficult to teach. But I place a priority on this. Remember, if 50% of your writing and speaking marks depend on your grammar and vocabulary, you definitely need to work on it. The fourth thing that sets my IELTS classes apart from many other IELTS classes is the fact that my class focuses on teaching and not testing. I don't get my students to do mock tests during class time. I know many schools do a lot of mock tests during class time. This is really just testing you, not actually teaching you anything. Now, two reasons why I don't get students to do mock tests during class time. Number one, it's a waste of time and money if done in class. Okay, I get students to do it at home during their own free time and also get them to use a better method, my TALI method, which I mentioned before. And number two, doing mock tests doesn't actually help people improve. That's why so many people fail the IELTS exam over and over again. Let me explain why doing mock tests is the wrong way to prepare for the IELTS exam. This is very important. Firstly, did you know that an estimated 60 to 80% of students fail their IELTS exam on their first try? And not just on their first try, but over and over again, many times. I get WhatsApp messages like these every week. People failing 1, 2, 5 times, and these people have wasted a lot of money. But why do so many people fail IELTS, not just on their first try, but over and over again? The reason is that most people prepare wrongly. They spend most of their preparation time doing IELTS practice or mock tests. Many people think that doing IELTS mock tests over and over again will prepare them for the IELTS exam. What they do is that they take the test under exam conditions at home and use no other outside material to help them because that's what it's going to be like in the actual exam. Basically, they are taking an IELTS test, but at home under test conditions. This is what I call testing yourself. So this is what people normally do. They take the IELTS practice mock test under exam conditions, then they check the official answers, then they repeat the process over and over again till they feel prepared. They go through all the practice tests. The expectation is that their IELTS score will improve the more IELTS practice tests they complete. But the reality is that their IELTS score doesn't improve by much at all, even though they do a lot of practice tests. Why is this so? Well, what's the definition of test? It's a set of activities to measure someone's skill, ability, or knowledge. You see, you take a test to measure your level, not to improve your level. You may improve a bit, but not much. Why don't you improve much? Because during a test, there's firstly a time limit, and then also outside materials are not allowed. It's just you and your test materials without anything or anyone to help you improve. And that's the problem. These are not conditions that facilitate improvement. So imagine your mind is a glass. Something needs to be added to you, your mind, for you to improve. All these are not automatically added to you and your mind when you take a practice test. Improvement takes a lot of time and requires outside materials. You need to work on your skills, grammar, vocabulary, cohesion, strategies, etc. This is how your listening, reading, writing, and speaking improve. Something needs to be added to your mind. You need to learn. You don't learn when taking a test under exam conditions. That's testing, not improving. So Jonathan, you're saying that taking IELTS practice mock tests over and over again is not the best way to prepare for your IELTS exam? Then what's the best way? The way to prepare properly for your IELTS exam, or any language exam for that matter, is through addressing three important areas: test format, test strategies, and language improvement. The ideal percentage of time you should spend across different areas in your IELTS preparation is shown in this table. Let's take a look at self-preparation first. Most people who prepare by themselves focus on doing mock tests and a bit on test strategies and hardly any time on language improvement. Now, this is totally fine if you're a good native English speaker. Just focus on test format and test strategies, as your language is already very good. On to the next column, which is most preparation classes. What they do is they tend to spend 50% of the time on test format, that's doing mock tests, 40% on test strategies, and 10% on language improvement. So most IELTS classes don't spend much time on grammar and vocabulary because it's very difficult to do so. It's hard work for both teachers and students. Now, let's go to the last column, ideal preparation. What I mean by ideal preparation is preparation for the majority of ESL, English as a Second Language students. You're not native language English speakers, but the majority of ESL students, I think this is the ideal preparation. 20% on test format, doing mock tests, only 20%, 30% on test strategies, and 50% on language improvement. Okay, because your language is so poor, you need to work on your grammar and vocabulary that half the time should be spent on language improvement. Now, what you should take away from all this is, don't focus on doing IELTS mock tests as it doesn't help you to improve. Don't attend a class where most of what you do is just IELTS mock tests. That's a waste of your time and money. Attend a class that teaches you something, not just tests you. And attend a class that teaches you exam strategies and also teaches you grammar and vocabulary. The fifth area that makes my IELTS classes different from others is in the recommendations my IELTS classes have gotten from other people, from IDP, from immigration agencies, from ex-students. I already mentioned I'm a partner of IDP Singapore, which is one of the 3 co-owners of the IELTS organization. I've taught IELTS preparation for IDP Singapore, and they know me and also recommend my IELTS classes to many test takers. Also, in this 145,000 member Facebook immigration group, they recommend my classes also. And many other immigration agencies recommend my classes too. This email says, just to update you that we have been sending your materials and recommending you to our clients in the past 2 years. This person said, my immigration agent in KL asked for your contact as one of his clients from JB, Johor Bahru, wants some help in IELTS. Hope it's okay with you. And this person wrote, I would like to introduce Mr. Jonathan of IELTS University. He will be of great help to you as per feedback from previous clients who attended his course, including myself. And this immigration agent wrote, I've previously given your contact number to 7 prospective and/or existing clients. I will continue to refer individuals who require IELTS coaching. And this is one of my ex-students who failed IELTS writing 15 times before coming to my class. He said, over the past 2 years, I've sat for IELTS at least 15 times. I've attended at least 3 IELTS workshops and classes. Jonathan's class is the cheapest I've found on the market and the best I've experienced. Another student wrote, I wasted so much time and money in other schools and tuition. I had tuition many times with so-and-so tutor. I went to so-and-so school. Oh, I forgot to mention I was a SWAT student as well, but I don't think that helped me. All useless. You went straight to the point, practical and skillful, but they just wasted my time because they have no techniques. Thank you so much for your real IELTS class. The sixth difference is in my post-class support that I give my students. Even after your face-to-face IELTS class ends, you still have unlimited fortnightly live Zoom support class, and you have my WhatsApp number to ask me any question anytime. Okay, I don't think any other schools offer this. The seventh difference is the cost. I've already shown you the cost per hour of teaching and how it's one of the cheapest in Singapore, but let me be honest with you. Costs shouldn't be the most important factor in your decision as to which IELTS class to register for. The most important factor should be the quality of the class. What are the results of the students? What's the experience of the teacher? What's the quality of the teaching and teaching materials? I don't think there's any other cheaper IELTS class in Singapore, but even if there is, there's no point paying for a cheap class, but then losing so much more money because you weren't properly prepared and you failed your IELTS exam over and over again. In the end, you're going to waste more money and more time than if you were to attend a good IELTS class and have a higher chance of passing. Each IELTS exam costs about 400 Singapore dollars now. It's a lot of money. And if you remember, these people all failed before coming to my class and only passed after. But they had already wasted $6,000, $3,000, $3,000, $3,000 because of failed IELTS exams and because of attending other classes that didn't help. But I'll tell you something more important than money. It's time. Time is something you can never get back. So don't waste your time. You can get back money, you can make back money, but you can't get your time back. But there's something even more important than time, and that's your emotions. I've seen so many people fail over and over again because they did not prepare properly. The end result, discouragement and lack of motivation, and even giving up on their dreams of immigration or further studies. This happens because they did not prepare properly. They went to a class that did not prepare them properly. They took the exam hoping to pass. They failed, and then they took the exam again. They did not spend time improving, and then they kept on failing, and it resulted in discouragement and lack of motivation. And in the end, they ended up giving up their dreams of immigrating. So to end, make sure you make the right decision when considering how to prepare for your IELTS exam. So let me end here. If you're interested in my IELTS classes, you can WhatsApp me at +65 9768 1054, or you can also visit www.ieltsuniversity.com. If you want to know when my next class intake is and whether the early bird discount is still available, just WhatsApp me. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you for listening.